I'm not sure the New York Times wanted to come to this conclusion, but they did based on their own study that was done here. It came out yesterday. Big piece in the New York Times headlined, "Where are the men in boys' lives?" And I shared this chart just last hour on X at Pete Mundo. You can see it there. The New York Times is noticing what many of us do as well. Too many boys, especially low-income ones, don't have men in their lives. There are three main exceptions where boys encounter men. And those places are sports, scouts, and church. It's about it. When you look at the graph that was put together here by the New York Times, it notes that most of the adults in children's lives are women. Babysitters, preschool teachers, childcare workers, 95+%. Child social workers, librarians, also, too many instances. Solo parents, K through 8 teachers, 4 and 5, lean female. Tutors, pediatricians, used to be more male-dominated, now heavily female-dominated, 69%. High school teachers, 57% female. School bus drivers, 56%. You get down to scout leaders, where 33% of those are women. Coaches, 26% are women, meaning 74% are male. And religious leaders, 14% are women, 86% are male. So this article goes on the note, basically, that part of the crisis right now when it comes to young men, and I want to welcome you in at 913-408-7957, is that there are not men who are being active in boys' lives. Now, I've got 3 daughters, so this is something that is not hitting home for me. I mean, maybe that is part of my life one day with boys who are not my biological children, but it's not my life right now. But there is a crisis, of course, of men. We've talked a lot about this. It actually ties into the big, beautiful bill, right? Getting able-bodied adults off of Medicaid is a valiant effort, something we've got to do more of. And part of the reason is we've got 7 million able-bodied men out of the workforce. Those are the estimates. You can look it up, find it yourself. It's very easy to Google. 7 million able-bodied men. These are not people with disabilities. These are able-bodied men who could work who are not working today. You also have women who are more likely now to go to college, get a college degree than men. And it's creating a societal and social crisis as well. People are not marrying as early, if they're marrying at all. If they're even having children, they're not having as many. I mean, there are just major social fabric issues that are stemming from all this.
Right, and you talked about male exposures for boys being at church, and that obviously is on the decline, church attendance.
Absolutely.
You mentioned 3. Sports would be one, and that sometimes costs money, so that could be an economic thing. What was the third one?
Scouts.
And again, another declining participation program.
Exactly. So 2 of those 3 are seeing major declines in participation, unfortunately, that being church and scouts, the places where young boys actually may see male role models outside of their own homes. So the New York Times writes here, at a crucial time in their lives, boys are increasingly cared for by women, especially the many boys whose fathers are not a regular presence. This lack of male role models, say researchers, parents, and young men who work with them, is contributing to their struggles in school and employment and the overall feeling that they're adrift. Working with children has long been considered women's work. The share of professional men in children's lives has decreased even more in recent decades, writes the New York Times. So they're pointing out something that is very obvious to those of us who live in the world. Now, they've got some woke reasonings behind it because, of course, it's the New York Times, but the data doesn't lie. And the data makes it overwhelmingly clear that the 3 exceptions to where boys encounter men are scouts, sports, and church. So you would think you would want to create a world or different communities around the country where we would be leaning into more of that. Instead, we get the opposite, right? Instead, we get a world where people want to shy away and shun away from that. Heck, we don't even call it Boy Scouts anymore and Girl Scouts. It's just Scouts. Sports, we've got boys being told they can readily compete against girls. Problematic there. And church, forget it. What are you, some Jesus-loving freak, they'll say, right? So the institutions that we should be embracing, we should be promoting, we should be celebrating are the ones they try to destroy. And then they wonder, boy, what happened to young men? Why is the soy boy the lay of the land? Why are there 7 million able-bodied male adults who are literally just sitting on mom's couch? Don't worry, little Johnny. It's going to be okay. You're 28 years old. Grow up. Get a job. Get out of mom's basement. Stop playing video games and looking at pornography. They don't want to do it. And as a result, if we don't have, this is going to be a surprise maybe to some of you, but it's very simple to understand how we reproduce. Men find women, women find men, they fall in love, they create a family, and on we go. Our birth rates are at historic lows. We are not duplicating and procreating at the pace we need to, obviously, to keep this whole thing that we call society and life and humankind going. It's not going to happen overnight. But the trends have been downward for 50, 60 years, and they are at a crisis level. And all this stuff is part of the broader conversation and picture that we've got to have here. And we can have it with you on KCMO at 913-408-7957. In KCK, that's where Stephen is this morning. Hello, Stephen. Good morning. Go ahead.
Hey, Pete. What's going on, man? This is the woke social engineering gone amok. This is the canary in the coal mine. I've coached church league softball for many years and participated, and we can kind of control what church you're in. But ever since the Great Society programs and the demolition of the nuclear family, this is where I saw Maria Bartiromo. She said that half of the entry-level college jobs are going to be eliminated by AI. So we're going to see a revitalization in the trades, I think. They don't want the scouts to succeed. They don't want the male, a strong male role model. They want woke social engineering across the board, and the only way to fight back is to restock the trades. Don't go to liberal arts colleges. Don't get their certificate. Do the qualifications, whatever you can. It sounds harsh, but we've got to take. We're going to be forced to take this approach now that all these jobs are going to be these entry level jobs are going to be disappearing. So
you're right about that. There is a lot of that happening right now. I heard a report early this morning, either on Red Eye or the Fox News Rundown, on how the jobs market is very difficult right now for those who are just graduating college for some of the reasons that you mentioned there. You're right. And I think a big thing to blame as well, and I don't know how much of this was intended, and I say this as the father of 3 daughters, the feminist movement, for I think many, was driven by and motivated by the right reasons. Equal opportunity and things like that, Title IX, were great. There were those who wanted it to be a zero-sum game, women achieving at the expense of men. Instead of it just being, hey, let's promote women, whether it's being in the workforce or doing whatever men want to do and can do, that's great. Of course, that's totally fine. No one's going to be against that. But it should have never been at the expense of young men and boys. It shouldn't have never been an either-or proposition. And I do believe there are people in the movement over the last 50 years who wanted it and treated it like it was an either-or proposition. And they've completely failed society as a result, John.
Right. It becomes a situation where we can all do something, though. I was thinking about, my dad was around, but so many other men. I played football in high school, right? And I played left out. I didn't play, I was on the team and in the yearbook picture. But I learned something.
Yeah.
And this stuff still sticks in my head to my day. I can hear it. You know? And so it's like a group effort, if you will. It doesn't have to be just the dad, because sometimes the dad isn't the best role model, possibly. Which is why they're absent.
That's a
but
good point.
The rest of us can do something. I got grandkids, and I kind of watch over, all kids are different, as you know, but just look where they're gravitating and maybe help them go towards that area or steer them away from it, as the case may be. But we can all do something.
I think you're right.
You don't have to join an organization.
I think about our friends at the Fathers Club here in Kansas City and the work that they're doing. They've been on the show multiple times. Dads wanting to get engaged with the school, but not wanting to overstep the moms on, the PTO board and things like that. Developing those opportunities for dads in the schools, I think, are great places to start. And the Fathers Club in Kansas City is doing stuff like that all over Kansas City. You can look them up. Just Google the Fathers Club, and they'll show up. They're doing awesome work. And they understand that also what this is about. It's about the dads, too. The dads benefit by being around other dads, and then they want to lean in more to the kids. And it's not just, their own children. It's also the boys and girls around them.
Yep, absolutely.
The New York Times goes on the note here in this piece, single mother households have also become more common. You don't say. You don't say. The underlying theme here as well, and Stephen alluded to it, the Great Society's failures when it comes to its breakdown of the nuclear family. Mentorship groups say they struggle to find as many male volunteers as there are boys who need them. And as families have become more insular, participation in community groups and churches has declined. And children spend less time playing outside with neighbors. Children then get to know fewer adults. You probably remember that too, right? Getting laid into by somebody else's parent is something that sticks with you. It's bad enough when you get laid into by one of your own parents, but there's something different about another adult reprimanding you, just in the neighborhood, especially if it's a male. I can think about moments in my life as a young boy that stand out to me where you get a male who's not your father lay into you. Suddenly you pucker up real fast. That's what happens. And that's healthy. That's good. Those are good memories to have. They're important memories to have. And if we don't have as many opportunities to get those memories, then it's another cultural loss, especially for the young men right now who desperately need it.